Shalom everyone and Shavua Tov, Chag Sameach. Here we are in Parashat Shemini, and while Parashat Shemini is many times the parasha that is being read after Pesach, although you start reading it on the Shabbat before Pesach. So Pesach is engulfed somehow with Parashat Shemini. And what does that mean? What does it mean for us? Why is Parashat Shemini, although we're not going to read Parashat Shemini this Shabbat, not this Shabbat, because this Shabbat we're going to read about Pesach. It's a Passover this Shabbat, but the Shabbat after, just a day after the holiday, it's going to be Parashat Shemini. And what is that? And what is that about? Parashat Shemini, because why Parashat Shemini is always somehow connected to Pesach. And now to the answer. Okay, Parashat Shemini, it's starting in the book of Leviticus, Vayikra, chapter 9, verse 1, and it says, Vayi bayom hashmini kara Moshe la'Aaron. On the 8th day, Moses calls Aaron and his sons and the elders of Israel to come and join the dedication of the temple. The day was the first day of Nisan, almost a year after the Exodus. It took them about half a year to build the Mishkan from the time Moses is coming from the mount with the tablets on Yom Kippur. The next day is Parashat Vayakel, and Moses gathers the congregation of Israel, and they start building the Mishkan. 6 months later, the Mishkan is ready. They trying to build the Mishkan to put it together according to the orders. It doesn't get put together. They try to assemble it. It doesn't fit. For the first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh day, it doesn't fit. On the 8th day, everything gets fit. And because people realize, the Israelites, maybe we cannot have an atonement, as we're going to see from the reading itself. Because here it says in the Torah, Parashat Shemini, verse 1, as we said, Moses is calling Aaron, his sons, and the elders of Israel, and he says, verse 2, Vayomer el Aaron, says to Aaron, Kach lecha egel ben bakar, and he gives them the order that you should do this and this and this and this. And if you do that, verse 6, Vayomer Moshe ze hadavar shetzivah Hashem, this is what the Creator ordered. Do that, Vayera alechem kvod Hashem, and the glory of God will be seen to you. Okay, and they do that. So that goes on, few more verses, and they do the offerings, and then verse 22, Vayisa Aaron et yadav el ha'am vayivarchem. Aaron raises his hands to the people and he's blessing them. And he's coming down from that, and then Moses and Aaron are coming together. It says Vayavo, as one person, into the tabernacle. They were still afraid maybe there's no atonement. Maybe there's no forgiveness yet. And as they come out, they bless the people. And then it says, verse 23, Vayera kvod Hashem el kol ha'am. And the glory of God is being seen to the whole nation. Vatetze esh milifnei Hashem, and a fire came from in front of God. Vatochal al hamizbeach, and the fire consumed on the altar all the sacrifices and the offerings. The people saw that, they rejoiced and fell on their faces. Okay, what does it mean, fell on their faces? We hear that, we see that many times in the books of the prophets. Every time a prophet had that amazing prophecy revealed to him, he would fall on his face. Why did he fall on his face? So Rabbi Isaac Luria was saying he was going, in order to receive such a high level of light, some of the body functions must be shut down. Some of the body chattering and noise must be shunned. And that part of the brain, when that is shunned, you cannot physically stand, you have to fall. So a lot of people cannot stand and meditate at the same time. So you sit. Okay, so you have to understand that that's what was there. There was a huge prophetic revelation to all the nation. Now, what's in it for us? we have to go back now to the Zohar, the first verse of the Zohar of Parashat Shemini. ויהי ביום השמיני, רבי יצחק פתח. רבי יצחק opens, ברון יחד כוכבי בוקר ויריעו כל בני אלוקים. He's reading from Job 38. When the morning stars rejoice, Beron, and the people, they rejoice, Vayarono. It's the same verb, to rejoice. When the morning stars rejoice, Vayariu kol bnei Elokim, and all the sons of God are cheering. Ashrei Yisrael, what does it mean? Ashrei Yisrael, praiseworthy are the people of Israel, שהקדוש ברוך הוא נתן להם התורה הקדושה, that God gave them the Holy Torah. שהיא שמחת הכל, this is the rejoice, the happiness of everything. שמחת הקדוש ברוך הוא, this is the happiness of the Holy Blessed Being. ומקום טיול שלו. We call, it's a hint. There's kind of a hint over there. This is the place he's taking a stroll. Now, the hint is that we know that when we study Torah, studying just what it says, just the word itself, this is the pshat, the simple. And the Zohar says, whoever studies just a simple meaning, literal meaning of the words of the Torah, the word pshat is the same letters, pei, shin, tet, of tet, pei, shin, tipesh, a fool. Only a fool looks at the Torah and says, oh, that's it. There's nothing else over there. God gave only these words. Why? Says the Zohar. There in the Torah itself, you have the words of Lavan, was evil man, the words of Pharaoh, an evil man, the words of Balaam, an evil man. Why do we have to make a Torah, a holy Torah, from the words of evil people? However, this is only in the Pshat, when you just read it literally. But not literally. There's the oral Torah, there's the meanings, the deeper meanings in between the lines, the acrostics of the letters, the numerical values, the gematria. And there's deeper and deeper and deeper meanings, which is the Mishnah and the Talmud, and later on, and there's a Zohar, and all of these midrashim, that all of them, the initials are Pshat, Remez, Drash, and Sod. If you study Kabbalah, you understand there are 4 levels, understanding every verse in the Torah, every word. Pshat is a simple, Remez are the hints, Drash is the study, and the Sod, the secret, is what does it really mean according to Kabbalah. What's the really meaning behind it? And what's the purpose? Pardes means in Hebrew an orchard. And the word for paradise in English came from that word, Pardes. This is God's orchard. So when it says that God takes a stroll in the orchard, that's a hint that the Torah is the orchard of God. However, if you see only the simple, you cannot see God, because that's not his orchard. His orchard is not Pshat, it's the whole Pardes, all 4 levels. And what I'm saying it for, שכתוב ויש שעשועים יום יום, וכל התורה היא שם אחד קדוש של הקדוש ברוך הוא. The whole Torah is one big name of the Creator. And we learn that names, in the book of names, when we talk about names, is the ability to name, to call, to bring in the light of the Creator to this world. And that means, and then it says, Torah nivra olam, and the world has been created by the Torah. So the sages are asking, why should I study Torah? Do I need to create the world all over again? No. And the answer is that when I want to see the king, you know, what does it mean to see the king? Yes, you want to see to have an appointment with the Queen of England. She doesn't have so much power, but she's still a celebrity. Why? You want to meet with her? You have to go through a process, right? Not everyone who wants to meet with the Queen can see the Queen, although she means so much nothing. I'm talking about, nobody's asking her to do this or that, but still, she has some honor. Now, talking about the President of the United States of America, okay? Or let's say the President of China, okay? They are big, very powerful people. Everybody who wants to meet them can meet them? No. You have to go to somebody. There's a procedure. You have to a request. And does that mean that you're going to see them? Most chances, no. Why? They're too busy to deal with you. So if this is with a king, a physical ruler, flesh and blood, what about the king of the universe? It looks like still you're going to get up to that level to meet with him. So what do? You know that he's strolling in the garden. So what do? You're hiding in the garden. And when you are in the garden and he's going to stroll in the garden, you pop up from behind the tree and say, "Dear king, I have a question for you." Right? That's what the Torah is saying. When you don't have to go a universe to a universe to a higher level to meet with God. You just study his Torah. And that's when you're going to meet him, because the Torah is his orchard. And when you are studying the Torah, you're going to meet the king face to face. Why do you need to do that? We all know that it says also in the Talmud that God says, "I created the evil inclination, and I created the Torah as a remedy against the evil inclination." Now, what are we going to do with that information? And this is what we're trying to understand over here. Pesach is coming, and usually, as we said, in a normal year, when it's not a leap year, Pesach is being read around Parashat Shemini. And what do we have in Pesach? We have that war, the biggest war, that we fight the chametz. And what is the chametz? On the physical level, we have to clean the leavened bread so there is no leavened bread. That's on the physical level, superficial level. You have to clean the house, really clean, so there's nothing around. You have to check for the chametz with the candle, and you have to burn the chametz, and you have to make a statement that any chametz left with me is nulled. I have no connection to it whatsoever. Okay? Now that we understand that, we understand also, and we learn the chametz, which means sour. The English word sourdough is coming from the biblical word sour, seor. Seor is that what sours the dough. The sour of the sourdough, it's in Hebrew, biblical Hebrew, seor. Okay, so the word sour comes from seor. That's what makes the word, and this sour is on one hand, this is the basically it's a culture of germs that makes the dough rise. That's on one hand. On the other hand, sour, when a person is sour, it means he missed the point. Because in Hebrew, sour means chamutz means to when somebody is sour. But when you want to say that somebody missed the boat or missed the train, you use the word lahachmitz, which means you missed the opportunity. Same word, sour. Because when a person feels that he missed it, so he's sour. And why did you miss it? Because you were sour. Because life is about hopping on the opportunities. Life is about that whatever happens, realizing there was a good reason for that. And if you really have good faith in the Creator, in the creation, that everything is coming from the Creator and from the creation, that means that you never miss anything, because you see everything as an opportunity. You don't stand there with a sour face and with a sour heart and just cry to yourself like, I could have done it differently. No, didn't happen. It means was not supposed to happen. Not now. So hop on the next train, hop on the next bus, move on, walk, run. You know the time will come and you say, wow, that was really lucky that I did get the first one. That's what faith, that's what emunah is about. Emunah is all about connecting to the Creator and moving on and knowing that everything is for the good. Now, this is a very hard thing to work on, because we all have that sour thing inside. And as you know, what is the sour? We know today that it's a culture of germs. Few germs are left in the dough. That will be enough finally to make it rise. A little sourness stays in your heart. That will be enough, finally, if you don't eliminate it, to make you whole sour. One little thing of sorrow, of negativity, of upset, of that can sour the whole thing. You're just holding it and holding it and holding it. You know what? The more you're holding it, the culture rises more and makes it even more sour than it was before. Be careful. This is dangerous stuff. So, this sourness is called the evil inclination. This is a part of our nature that we always have to watch out for, we always have to overcome, we always have to eliminate, till the place that people call it Satan. Satan. Satan is also Hebrew. Satan means in Hebrew, the verb Satan, sintetno, means to disturb, to delay, to block the road. That's Satan. So we know that all of these traits in our characters, they are the ones who stop us from becoming the best we can become. Now, how are we going to overcome them? So, there are systems. They're always telling you you have to be busy the whole day long fighting your ego. It's your ego, it's your ego, it's your Satan, it's your ego. And you know what? The more you're upset about your ego, the more sour you become. And the more sour you become, the more ego you have, because usually, does it mean that people have ego? It's people that are really afraid they're not going to get what they want to get. They're really being afraid that they're going to miss the boat, or somebody's not going to miss them. And because of that, they're so obsessed with the fear. That's called ego. Because people who are full of love and the light of the Creator, they have no need to have ego. They don't have that need. So when you are focused on the ego is sour and it's darkness. The more you focus on the darkness, the more you focus on what's wrong. What's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? I did this, I did. The more you are busy with yourself, you just go to all the Hasidic teachings. Either the Baal Shem Tov and later on the Rabbi Nachman of Breslev, if you Lubavitch studies, all of them say, one thing. There's darkness. The way to remove the darkness is bringing in the light. If you are busy all the time with what's wrong with you, Rav Ashlag explains you have to know what's wrong with you, because by knowing what's wrong with you, you start a long process of disassociation with that what is wrong. And you stop feeding it. But on the same time, beating yourself up all the time that I'm this and I'm this and I'm this and I'm this, all that are people that are full of guilt and remorse. Those people are no good nicks for nothing. Why? Because when you're full of guilt and remorse, your energy level is really in the red. And how on earth you're going to remove that negativity in you? How? Explain to me. Just by saying I'm wrong, I'm wrong, I'm wrong? By I'm having a big ego? That's going to remove that. I've never seen people removing their dark side by being busy with that the whole day. So how are you going to do that? And here comes the Zohar and says, the Torah is the spice, is the remedy against the evil inclination. Why? Because, says Rav Ashlag, he brings it again from the sages, Hama'or sheba machzireu lamutav. The light in it will bring the person back to his original shape of good, that it was before the darkness started to come along. This is what's remedy in the Torah. If you study the Torah just to know what's wrong, and what's wrong, and what's wrong, and what's wrong, and what mistakes have you made, and how terrible you are, this is going to give you a very bad mood. And when you have a very bad mood, you cannot heal anything. Not body and not soul. No healing happens when you are in a bad mood. Why? Because it's bad. And bad mood with bad characteristics doesn't make it good. When you have a minus in the bank, another minus makes it more minus. Another minus doesn't make it plus. Although people say, you know, two minuses makes a plus. No, that's only on the paper. On the paper. But really, two minuses makes a bigger minus. Two bad makes it bigger bad. Okay? Stay away from bad. Bad people, bad mood, bad actions, whatever. And you did something bad, say to yourself, I did something bad. This is terrible. What should I do good in order to remove the bad? Because a little bit of light will remove a lot of darkness. That's the way it is. You come into the room and it is dark. How do you get the darkness to get out? Do you get to start to negotiate with the darkness? Do you start bringing all kinds of machinery to measure the thickness of the darkness? Do you try to understand the darkness? So you sit there and you talk to it? Or you just simply ignore the darkness and bring in the light? Oh, I realize it's dark. What does it mean? I need to bring in light. That's what does it mean that you see dark, that you bring in the light. How do you bring in the light? When you study the Torah, when you study for the purpose, for looking for the light, for connecting to the light, communicating with the light, bringing that light inside you, that will get you that elevation. And then you look at the darkness and you see it's not part of you anymore. And this is what the Torah is about. I'm teaching Kabbalah for 34 years already. And I've seen a lot of students, and I've seen one thing. When a person is busy focusing to fill himself holy, W-H, and holy, the H-O-L, both holy and holy. When the person is fulfilled with the light of the Creator, he has the power to overcome evil. As long as people are so focusing about what's wrong and what's wrong with me, this is hopeless. The Torah is about, and that's what Hasidism is about, what the Zohar is about, and that's what the Talmud is saying. You cannot achieve any the levels of spirituality being sad and miserable. Doesn't work. Doesn't work. Yeah, but I have to feel remorse. I made mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes. Being upset about the mistakes is a bigger mistake. Why? Let's say, again, let's go back to the minus in the bank. You have a minus in the bank. Being miserable about the minus in the bank is not going to turn it into a plus. When you see a minus in the bank, it means you have to go and make money to put in the bank. Wasting time on being upset about it and beating yourself up is not going to cover the minus in the bank. It means you have to work harder to cover it up. Okay? You can't afford wasting time and energy about being upset. So, this message in the Zohar is very powerful and very important. And let's continue. We're reading right now verse 26 in the Zohar. Patach Rabbi Elazar. Rabbi Elazar opened and said, what happened on the eighth day? And he says again, those 8 days, they show about the 8th level. The 10 sefirot of the tree of life are divided into two parts. The upper 3, Keter, Chochmah, and Binah, this is the source of light and the source of bliss. The lower 7, these are the vessels that need to be nourished, that need to be fulfilled with the light of the Creator. Now, so when we talk about 7, we're talking about the recipient. When we talk about the 8th, we're talking already being able to connect outside the box, outside the realm of neediness, to the realm of the source of life and nourishment. So talking about the 8th day, that's talking about the source of nourishment, outside the box. So, and that's why he says, verse 27, El Hashem HaKohanim, praiseworthy are the Kohanim, shemitatrim ba'atotav shel HaMelech HaKadosh, and they are being crowned by the crown of the Holy King. What is a crown? The king sits on his throne, but he has a crown on his head. What does it mean above his head? It's above the king. So the king is a certain level, but the crown symbolizes the connection to the level above. To the level above, which is Bina. Bina is a source of life and nourishment. And that's why he says, Umeshuchim b'shemen hamishcha kadosh, and they are being anointed by the holy ointment. And that holy ointment is a physical being to bring in the holy light from above. And therefore, so when we're talking about the 8th day, and we talk about that we are building the tabernacle, all the little details of Parashat Tuma and Tetzaveh and Kitisa and Vayakel and Pekudei, and also Vayikra till now. All of this was about the details, how to build the tabernacle and how to operate it. Right? What for? And Moses says, so the glory of God will be seen upon you. Do you understand what does it mean? So you will have a prophetic connection, which means only when you connect to that light of God, which is inconceivable, which is beyond understanding, which has no, as we spoke about in the last Parashat Tzav, only when we connect to that light, we basically fulfill the purpose of our existence. Because we are miraculous creatures that were made to receive miraculous light of the Creator. If we don't, says the Zohar, it's like a donkey eating straw. That's what you are. Oh, yeah, I'm fulfilling the mitzvot. Yeah, you do what it says in the Torah to say, but what for? What for? You're doing it for one purpose. So the glory of God, the light of God will be seen upon you, that you will feel that. This is the purpose. And how is that connected to Pesach? And I'll conclude with that. Pesach is coming. This is this weekend, this Shabbat, Friday night. And it says in Rabbi Azakloya, the Arizal Shar Kavanot, the Gate of Meditations, page 148, on the left column, bottom left column. And it says as follows. After the Rabbi Azakloya is explaining all the terrible situation of the Israelites and the rest of the world, rest of humanity, in deep, deep, deep darkness, terrible darkness of misery and sorrow and hopelessness and all of this like terrible stuff, being in such a terrible place. Says the Arizal, there was no way to get the Israelites out of Egypt unless, and then it says as follows, Venimtza, and it is found, or we can realize, Ki inyan geulat galut Mitzrayim, that the issue of the redemption from the exile in Egypt, Haya al yedei nes gadol mod, it was by a great, great miracle. Vezeu inyan geulat nes yetziat Mitzrayim, and this is that greatness of this miracle. Ki hine am Mitzrayim ufaro, the nation of Egypt and Pharaoh, that we learn in other classes, that they were the epitome of negativity, of narrow-mindedness, of dark witchcraft, of evil and selfishness, and so all what is negative. And they got and drew their power from those places, those high places, with viciousness. Because, you see people that are vicious, and they have amazing creative business. Because they are draining the holy system and taking it to themselves, but they use it only for their own vicious, selfish reasons of taking control over others. When that happens, when somebody draws too much from the system, from the grid, you know what happens? There are fuses that pop. And that's what happened. Till there was totally darkness because of such drawing. And the Egyptians, they knew how to suck the upper worlds and the wholeness into their negative sorcery. And that's therefore, so the divine emanator had to needed to, לחזור להוליד את זעיר אנפין, to give a rebirth of זעיר אנפין, of that level of ספירות that come to this world of levels of spiritual growth, ולהגדילו בתכלית האחרון של ההגדלה. And to make that זעיר אנפין, which is the light of hope and godliness and faith and awareness and glory, all the attributes of the upper worlds, he needed to bring them to this world artificially, not by our actions, by his action, כדי שיתבטל יניקת החיצוני משם. So, only by bringing so much light that could remove and cancel all negativity in the world of that time. מחמת תוקף האור הגדול, because the greatness and the power of that light, only that can remove all the negativity. ועל ידי כך יצאו מן הגלות, and only by that they could get out of the exile. Let me explain it. The whole thing about Passover, like Shemini, Parashat Shemini is talking about you have to connect to the eighth realm, to the upper world beyond the box, outside the box, in order to bring so much light that can remove all the atrocities of the sin of the golden calf and what was connected to it. That was the only way to remove that, which means there was dirt, there was negativity, there were mistakes. Yeah, you had remorse, forgiveness, whatever. Still, that was not enough. What really cleansed it? That awesome light that came by the building of the tabernacle. And as the Zohar says, you have to build something below so that light is somewhere to settle on. But it will come on. The Torah is giving us also the same thing about the Exodus. We had to take a lamb, tie it up, slaughter it on the eve of Pesach, eat it with matzah and maror, and by this, it says, and it had to be really fast. What fast? We slaughtered the lamb twilight, on nightfall of the full moon of Nisan. Okay? We left only the morning after. What's the hurry? How long does it take to eat a whole plate full of lamb? Huh? You have a whole night. What's the rush? And the answer is what Rabbi Zakhlori is saying over here. The rush is that God rushed all the levels of spiritual awareness and revelation in that all the levels a person can go through from his birth till he's a great, righteous, spiritual tzaddik. In the highest level of awareness, of greatness, love, and appreciation. All at once. That was the rush. The rush that all of these levels came just like this, one evening. And by the end of the evening, we were already in that level of total enlightenment. Total enlightenment. What did we do? We ate the lamb with matzah and maror. That's what we had to do. And what did they do? We suddenly saw the truth. We saw the light. All the little narrow-mindedness, the chametz, the sourness, the bitterness, everything was put aside. We realized that we can change the world. And that's why we left the richest country in the world. Everything was set, everything was ready over there. We left it behind us. We went to the desert. No food, snakes, scorpions, no rain, no water. We had no idea what we were going to do. And you know what? We went there to change the world forever. And we did change the world. What made us do that? All of this light that we drawn inside ourselves. Says Rabbi Zakhlori, the nature of the world is like this. When something of such magnitude happens, it leaves an impression. In today's language, it burns an impression on the disk. You know, how do you say a disk in Hebrew? Something round that repeats itself. It's chuga. whoever knows in Hebrew, how do you call the dial in a dial phone? The old-fashioned dial phone? It's a chuga. And what's the shorish of chuga? Chag. Chag is what goes around. Because of that burning, every year, on a full moon night of Aries, when we eat matzah and maror the way the Haggadah tells us, we eat 4 pieces of matzah, we drink 4 cups of wine, we eat the maror, the bitter herbs, and we do it and we say the Haggadah. We bring to ourselves that enlightenment that gives us the feel, how does it feel to be free? How does it feel to be a great person? And that removes all the negativity away and makes us see who is the person we're supposed to become. We're not really earning it. We're just building the vessel for it. And that's why the next day it goes away. But now, after you tasted the taste, you have the counting of the Omer, 7 weeks, to rebuild it. And you know what? For 49 days of the counting of the Omer, we get, if we count the Omer, and we do this work of the Omer, we get the levels that we get all of them, all 49 levels, in the night of Pesach. Just in the evening before midnight. That's why you have to finish eating the afikoman before midnight. Because it's all coming at a rush. Bechipazon, in a rush. The rush is about the universes are in a rush. And when you get so much light altogether, you see the light. And what is the study of the Torah? And what is the learning of the Torah? What is the mitzvot? It's all about one thing. Hamaor sheba yachzir lemutav. The light in it will fix the ego, will fix the sourness, will fix the bitterness, will fix the misery, fix the narrow-mindedness. If you want really to go above and beyond, outside the box to the Shemini, you have to focus on that excitement, enlightenment that is in the Zohar, that is explained in the Torah. It's all there. You have to want it. You have to urge for it. You need to want it, to yearn for it. And it will come, because then you will meet the king strolling in his garden. And then you'll get all what heals the ego, the fear, the negativity, the remorse, what can I do again and again and again? And that's the biggest secret of them all. Thank you. Chag Sameach. Think about all of us together, about that thing, the next Friday night, night of Pesach, when you chew up the matzah and the bitter herbs, to bring it all. And then in the end of Pesach, the last stage of the 15th, you get nirtzah. And you know what nirtzah means? The 15th stage, it means your offering has been accepted and your sin have been atoned and forgiven. And everything is great from now on. You can enjoy. Okay? And that's what is the gift we get on that night. Thank you so much. Think about all of us, about each other when you're doing that, so we all get that great light. And that great light of Pesach will remove the darkness of wars and misery and suffering for all of humanity, because that's the power of this Pesach. Thank you so much. Shabbat Shalom, Chag Sameach, and have a great holiday. Toda.